What's up everyone, and welcome back to HateWatchers. Today we're continuing our retrospective review of The Wheel of Time, with episode 2 entitled Shadows Waiting. Let's jump right into the breakdown. Spoilers ahead, if you even care. We open up in an idyllic forest where some cult of men has set up camp. This man is eating small innocent birds in front of a woman literally burning at a stake. You know, just in case you forgot that men are purely evil beasts in this world. Then the intro is rolled, where threads are intricately woven together to form 7 picturesque strong women to really hammer the point home. We catch up with our heroes, who are fleeing the incel minotaurs that have not given up on being toxic, no matter how many passive-aggressive tweets our protagonists have posted. They pay for a ferry across a river, leaving the aquaphobic minotaurs behind. But then one of the minotaurs says, "Cannonball!" and drowns because he didn't wait 30 minutes after eating a small child back in the village. The Voldemort Nazgul Dementor trots up and stares at them. Hard to say without eyes. He then calls Moiraine the C-word. They kidnap the ferryman and cut off his way back home to his family, because this is how all sane heroes act, right? Desperate, the ferryman jumps in to retrieve the ferry, putting his life on the line to find some way to save his family, before Moraine's magic kills him. Okay, all sarcasm aside, she already seems as sociopathic as Galadriel. I think Voldemort was right to call her a see you next Tuesday. Eager to press on, Moiraine slams some coke up her horse's nostrils. Moiraine watches these young adults sleep now that she's separated them from their parents and families. She pulls Egwene aside and tells her she wants her to touch her source, and then gives her some jewelry. Egg returns and lays down next to Rand. Her breath immediately wakes him up and he smartly sends her away. So Egg goes over to sit by the fire instead and makes Perrin give her his coat so she can have 3. Rand has COVID, confirmed by the fact that he pulls a bat from Wuhan out of his throat. Luckily, it was just a dream. Or was it? Everyone wakes up and realizes they must be pretty close to Wuhan, as there's dead bats everywhere, and Moiraine lectures them for having the audacity to have dreams while they sleep. Egg wants to follow Moiraine to the Women Empowerment Tower, and the men don't want to go, naturally. We find out which one of the men is whipped, as he caves and says they should stick with the evil witch lady. The party runs into the cult from earlier known as the White Cloaks, and one of the most evilest of penis-wielding men just starts groping Moiraine, before they're allowed to continue on their way. They keep traveling toward the White Tower, past some CGI green screen ruins. The group stops again for the night, probably because they're getting just as bored as we are. Egwene is really emotional about something and just keeps nagging Rand, who lies to her to get her to stop.
I could never hate you.
Uh-oh, looks like Moiraine caught COVID now too, and Voldemort and his Minotaur army are here to enforce the strict quarantine measures of this land. The gang gets up and makes a run for it. Our heroes' horses all stop in front of this foreboding wall, and yet again, the Minotaurs simply refuse to follow them past this point, marking the second time this episode's script has needed them not to catch up to our protagonists. They carry on through a crack in the massive wall, and have somehow ended up in Wuhan, which would explain the bats from before. There's no sign of life here, not even birds or bugs or even a Starbucks. They tend to Moiraine, who's ailing from her wound and her overuse of magic. The group learns that they're in some cursed city, and Rand sees some area where he can be further away from Egwene and seizes the opportunity. He finds a nice spot, but Egg shows up to ruin it 10 seconds later. Matt, whose name we had to look up, is awoken by spooky voices and the horses freaking out, but they're probably just having cocaine withdrawals. He finds a loot chest and pops it open, looking for jewels or at least crafting materials, but he hits the jackpot, finding some sweet purple item level dagger. The horses are really jonesing for another snort now, and one of them dies from the withdrawals. A spooky black death swarm is washing over the entire city now. This must be COVID-23, as it came pouring out of that building down the street whose sign says totally not a virus lab. Everyone tries to escape from it, and they slam a door in its face like that would stop this thing that's consuming every crack and every surface. Egg and Perrin decide to just kill themselves instead, but luckily they land in some water. Everyone escapes and Moiraine is really struggling. Bitch boy Lan is tending to her when Wisdom, of all people, shows up and threatens to kill him if he doesn't take her to her friends. And with that, the episode comes to an end. Well, as we said at the beginning of this series, we don't plan on going too in-depth on the reviews for these episodes because the show is over a year old at this point, and all of the criticisms have already been levied by others. And for episodes like this one, we're glad we don't have to try and dive in too deep on it because there is next to nothing to talk about here. The whole women rule thing is still alive and well in this one, and the group is still kinda trying to figure out which one of them is the Dragon Reborn. And I guess this episode did introduce some new things like really mediocre, borderline crappy CGI, and being bored for half of it. So those two new things were fun. And they mentioned or referenced a whole bunch of parts of the lore, so I guess we'll see if any of that comes into play later in the season. For now, all we can say is woof. This would have been a rough show to get through if we had been reviewing it when it first came out. But we certainly all would have had a lot of fun with it, and that's what the channel is about after all. Thank you to everyone who made it to this point in the video. Comment below. Are you going to watch the second season of Wheel of Time, or are you just going to stick to our review videos? Do you think the second season will come back even stronger and independenter, or do you think they'll dial it back after fans gave the show low scores? Hit that thumbs up if you liked the video, and remember to subscribe for future reviews of Wheel of Time, She-Hulk, and a couple upcoming shows like The Last of Us and The Mandalorian. Thank you again, and we'll catch you on the next one.